Think about the last time you were truly, completely happy, not satisfied, not relieved, happy. Chances are you had to think about it. A child would not have to think about it at all. Right now, somewhere near you, a child is losing their mind with joy over a cardboard box. Not what was inside it, the box. And you are watching them half smiling, half confused, wondering what happened to you. When did the box stop being enough? When did the world stop feeling like that? The answer is not what most people think. It is not innocence. It is not the absence of responsibility. It is something far older, far stranger, and far more built into the structure of your brain than anyone ever told you. To understand it, you have to go back, not to your childhood. Further, you have to go back to the beginning of the human mind itself. Your brain did not evolve to make you happy. This is the first thing you need to understand. Psychologist Rick Hanson at the University of California spent decades studying what he calls the negativity bias. The brain, he found, is like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. It was built this way on purpose. The ancestors who stopped to savor the beauty of a sunset while a predator circled the grass did not survive long enough to become your ancestors. The ones who stayed tense, stayed alert, stayed worried, those are the ones who made it. You are the descendant of the anxious ones. A child's brain has not yet been fully shaped by this bias. It is still learning what is dangerous, still calibrating what deserves fear. And in that window, before the calibration is complete, the world registers almost entirely as wonder. Neuroscientist Alison Gopnik at UC Berkeley has spent her career studying how children experience reality. She describes the child's mind as a lantern. It casts light in all directions at once. Everything is equally vivid. The texture of the carpet, the sound of rain on the window, the weight of a single leaf in a small hand. Nothing is filtered out because nothing has yet been decided to be unimportant. Your brain, by contrast, is a spotlight. It has learned, through years of accumulated experience, exactly what to pay attention to and exactly what to ignore. And in doing so, it has quietly dimmed most of the world. This is not weakness, it is efficiency. A brain that treats everything as equally interesting cannot function in a complex adult world. You cannot drive a car while being transfixed by the dashboard texture. You cannot follow a conversation while simultaneously being overwhelmed by the beauty of the ceiling. The spotlight is a survival tool, but survival and happiness are not the same thing. Here is where it gets stranger. Children do not just experience the world more fully, they experience time differently. Think about how long a single summer afternoon felt when you were 7. Think about how quickly last year passed. This is not a trick of memory, it is measurable. Neuroscientist David Eagleman at Stanford has studied how the brain encodes time. The more novel an experience, the more neural resources the brain devotes to recording it. A child's world is almost entirely novel. Every grocery store trip is a new expedition. Every meal is an experiment. Every stranger is a mystery. The brain is firing constantly, writing detailed records of everything, and that density of memory is precisely what makes time feel slow and rich and full. Your world is mostly familiar now. You drive the same route, you eat the same foods, you watch the same kinds of shows. The brain, recognizing repetition, encodes less. It shorthand the familiar. And shorthand takes up almost no space, so the years compress. Not because less is happening, because less is being written down. A child is not happier because they have fewer problems. They are happier because their brain is still treating the world as a document worth filling. Every page covered, every detail preserved. But this is only part of the story, because a child also has something else your brain has systematically stripped away. They have what psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent a lifetime studying. Flow, the state of complete absorption. The moment when challenge and skill are so perfectly matched that the self disappears entirely. Watch a child play. They do not multitask. They do not play with a toy while thinking about what they have to do later. They do not half engage while monitoring a second screen. They vanish into whatever they are doing completely. This is not because they are simpler. It is because they have not yet built the internal narrator, the voice inside your head that watches you living your life and comments on it. The voice that says you should be doing something more productive. The voice that compares this moment to a better moment you remember. The voice that pulls you out of the present and into a rehearsal of the future or a review of the past. That voice is the price of self-awareness. And self-awareness, for all its gifts, is one of the primary architects of adult unhappiness. The ancient Stoics understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, in his private journals that were never meant to be published, that the obstacle to happiness is almost never the external world. It is the story you tell about the external world. Children, for those early years, have not yet developed the storytelling apparatus fully. They are not interpreting experience through a dense web of expectations, comparisons, social judgments, and future projections. They are just inside it. Now here is the part that should unsettle you, because it means something important about what happiness actually is. It is not a reward for having a good life. It is a neurological state, a mode of processing, a relationship between the brain and the present moment. And the further you get from childhood, the more your brain has been optimized for everything except that relationship. But there is something else. Something almost no one talks about when they talk about why children are happier. It is the role of uselessness. A child is, in purely economic terms, useless. They produce nothing. They contribute nothing measurable to the household. They require enormous resources and return nothing tangible. And they are completely unconcerned by this. They do not lie awake reviewing their productivity. They do not compare their output to anyone else's output. They exist in a state of radical permission to simply be, to simply explore. Anthropologist David Graeber spent years studying what he called bullshit jobs. The jobs that people know privately serve no deep purpose. He found that adults are most miserable not when they work hard, but when they work hard at something that feels meaningless. Children do not have meaningless work. Everything they do, even doing nothing, is exactly what development requires. Their uselessness is useful. Their play is their work. And because play is intrinsically rewarding, because it has no external metric, no deadline, no evaluation, it generates genuine happiness almost automatically. You lost that permission. Somewhere between 7 and 17, the world began demanding that your time have a purpose beyond itself, that your effort produce a legible output, that your joy be justified. And you accepted those terms because you had to, because adults told you to, because society required it. And now you sit, watching a child lose their mind over a cardboard box, half smiling, half missing something you cannot quite name. Here is what that something is. It is not innocence, it is presence. It is the lantern, not the spotlight. It is the full page, not the shorthand. It is the flow state before the narrator arrived. It is the permission to exist without justification. None of this means you can simply choose to be a child again. The brain you have now was built by decades of experience, loss, adaptation, and survival. You cannot unlearn the spotlight. You cannot silence the narrator with a decision. But you can, in small and deliberate ways, recreate the conditions that made the cardboard box miraculous. You can find something genuinely novel. You can engage without monitoring yourself engaging. You can do something useless on purpose without apologizing for it. You can occasionally put down the spotlight and let the lantern run. Because the child who found the world astonishing is not gone. They are not lost. They are just buried under the efficient, adapted, survival-optimized brain that learned how to keep you alive. The box is still there. You just forgot how to look at it.